There are three main types of optical illusions. Perhaps the simplest are literal illusions. Not all illusions utilize patterns to trick the brain. The image you see in a literal illusion depends on the individual parts your brain chooses to focus on. In this picture, you can see a young woman's head turned to the right, or an old lady with a large nose, depending on how your brain recognizes the individual parts. You unconsciously make shortcuts as to comprehend the image as a whole. Here you probably identified a black cat at first, but then realized the mouse inside the cat silhouette. You originally simply perceived the image in a different way than it actually is. Similarly, cognitive illusions make you create shortcuts in the images you see. They make you assume things that are not true. Your mind often connects dots simply because the dots are close enough together to make a likely inference. For example, the horizontal lines in this image seem to taper, but are actually parallel. Your brain's tendencies are a big reason you fall for optical illusions. You mix colors, you fill in shapes, but the anatomy of your eye also plays a big part. The black spot of an eye is where nerves and blood vessels connect to the brain. Your brain fills in holes in the information your eyes retain by assuming, as to compensate for the information you don't. I'm now sitting here with illusions expert Snit Tiki. Snit, thank you for coming. Now I understand you got into illusions when you were 9?
Well, as a young child, I was always fascinated by how magicians will fool our minds without us even knowing. The fact that we are so prepared to get fooled is exactly what happens to us when illusionists and magicians will grab our mind, maneuver it in a way he so pleases, making us see things, feel things, and at times, hear things.
Interesting. Can you tell me what makes illusions effective?
Well, our mind has the tendencies to try to understand what it's seeing as quickly as possible, filling in information that may not be there, rather than taking the time to soak in what it's seeing and correctly understand the image. Your brain would prefer to act quickly instead of completely understanding the problem accurately.
This is all pretty boring. Do you have any visuals?
As a matter of fact, I do.
All of this research points to one thing. Our visual system remains too limited to tackle all the information your eyes take in. Like Martinez Conde says, for that our brain would need to be bigger than a building, and still then it wouldn't be enough. And so our mind takes shortcuts. Our brain constantly chooses the most likely interpretation of what we see. So, seeing is not always believing.
You know I be getting that moolah on a daily basis. Alright. You say you always be there for me, baby.